A pleasant good evening to all of you Extra Frame fans, PWBA fans, and bowling fans alike. Coming to you live from Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California, where the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open rolls on. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Again, we thank you for tuning in as we conclude our qualifying coverage again at the PWBA Fountain Valley Open 2017 edition. First time PWBA has been at Fountain Bowl since 1992. Matt Cannizzaro will join us here momentarily. Big thanks, of course, to our staff, to Neil Milligan, tournament director and director of operations here on the PWBA Tour. Kathy Waka, assistant tournament director. Kathy Kavicki, tour coordinator and merchandise manager. And of course, all the staff here at Fountain Bowl. Gary Foreman, the host proprietor, and his crew at both the desk across the way, general manager Rusty, and everyone involved. We are watching 41 and 42 and 43 and 44. Those are our featured pairs for this evening. Tomorrow, we will trade in 43 and 44 and move up a class or so and going over to 45 and 46. So we will have that for you, or that pair for you, I should say, tomorrow. Right now, you're watching Karen Arasbrum. Karen from Albany, California. Tanya Raumimper from Indonesia, and Rocio Restrepo. On 43 and 44, Ali Ijams, Ashley Shiramonte, and Summer Jasmine. Again, round two, game one. Restrepo looking for 4 in a row to start things here early on 41 and 42. If you are just joining us for the first time, we add a live now post on Facebook. It should now be available on Twitter as well. And briefly here, although it doesn't say live now, but there is a round one post in regards to the winner. What an interesting messenger that would have been for Restrepo. Could have gotten that one to go. But feel free to let us know who you're watching and where you are watching from. It's a good way to keep a good line of communication. Get an opportunity to understand our viewers and let us know. Oh, so we can find out, of course, who's watching who. All right, Shiramonte with the spare. Ali Ijams against Summer Jasmine and Ashley Shiramonte. And Restrepo cleans up the spare. 3-6-10 left for Summer Jasmine. And Raumimper will try to, of course, clean up the spare as well. Of course, your round one leader was Clara Guerrero. Clara led at plus 192 Average of 232. Even. Very nice block. In second was Cassandra Luthold at plus 176. Rocio Restrepo was third at plus 102. Daphne Tan in fourth at plus 92. Ashley Galante in fifth at plus 90. Brittany Smith in sixth at plus 89. Bjorgit Poplar was seventh at plus 70. Sherry Tan was eighth at plus 68. Kelly Kulik was ninth at plus 61. And Robin Rinslow was 10th at plus 58. So another top 10 after one round for Rinslow. And there is Restrepo doing her thing early. After one round, the top 32 cut was Adriana Mazik. Jim Callahan is making me laugh up here, so I apologize for that. Adriana Mazik was 32nd at minus 14. That's the cut line. That was the cut line, I should say, after round one. And high on the headpin there was Allie Ijams, former Wichita State Shocker. Another Shocker on lane 41. A Fresno State Bulldog coming up on lane 42. And Karen Rosbrum, and this pair will be rounded out by another Wichita State Shocker in Restrepo. Bucket turns into just the 2-4 for Tanya. Big thanks to all of our staff. I mentioned them. Forgot to mention Rita Morin. Rita, one of our PWBA graphic designers, on hand to help with our photo shoot on Thursday. And a spare for Tanya. But big thanks to Rita, out experiencing the PWBA Tour. Getting an opportunity to visually see how essentially she affects this tour, and some of the great ideas that she has come up with, and how now those things exist and she sees them in their respective works and areas, and already got some ideas on what else we can provide. So glad to have her out. Just got word we got a front seven already. Samantha Shaden shot 286 this morning. She had the front 10 as the highest game. Of the season by any player. And now a front seven, Sherry Tan, down on the low end of the building. Fountain Bowl equipped with 60 lanes. Don't see too many 60 lane centers anymore, so it's pretty cool always to see one. And big thanks to Gary Foreman and his crew here. Great staff. Lunch was spectacular as well, so thank you to all the staff here. Today's pattern is a 38-foot pattern. .44 milliliters of oil. With the Kegel Curve conditioner. Lane conditioner, the lane pattern, I beg your pardon. A little different than the first 2 weeks for these players. Certainly seen the highest scores we have seen so far on the young season. A lot to get into this block. Of course, mosey on down our leaders through and through each round, or excuse me, each game, as they are updated, of course. You can find those on PWBA.com. All right, Restrepo, 2-8 in the 8th frame. As Ali Ijams up on lane 44. Shot there from Ali a couple of shots ago. Saw her leave a split in the 5th frame. Jim Callahan, Storm rep, gave her a quick tip, quick note. Just wanted her to get through, get smooth with it. Gonna get through it, and that seems to be so far so good on that front. And Rostrom with a spare. Oh, Karen with some carry issues here. 6-9 counts generally spells a ball change. Best part about that, of course, is a 9 spare. Good 2-8 pickup by Restrepo. Of course, also along with our rounds, as along with our scoring rounds, of course, our updates. We will talk a little bit about our first major upcoming, which is next week. In fact, just a few days away, we'll begin the USBC Queens first major of the 2017 season. Hitting on it briefly during round 1's coverage, but want to make sure, highlight the fact, of course, there's a lot of bowling that will take place that week. 3 squads a day. You're familiar with the Queens. You know how intense that gets once we get into the match play bracket. Ali Ijams, big 3-backer. She sets things up in the 9th for the 10th frame. Max score of 211. Katie Sutphin, a big spare off camera. You may have gotten a peek at it on lane 40. Queens always brings about, of course, the best talent internationally, of course, as well. You've seen many of that, those talented players overlap onto the PWBA Tour. Not on a full-time basis per se, but half the season in some regard, whether it's Singapore representatives, Malaysia. Queens will bring other countries, Japan, China, perhaps Korea. Again, Malaysia, Singapore, aforementioned. Tanya, of course, representing Indonesia at all times. Bracket always gets intense once we get to match play. If you're unfamiliar with the Queens, very similar format to the USBC Masters. A lot of great matches that unfold, a lot of great storylines throughout the event. Last year, it certainly was the international storyline. 5 players made the TV show. 4 were from various countries, from 1 through 5 from a seeding perspective. It was Sweden, Singapore, the United States, Germany, and Malaysia. Of course, Bernice Lim from Singapore took home the title. Sandra Andersson was the top seed from Sweden. Lim was the number 2 seed, Danielle McEwen. The 4th seed, I believe, was actually, I believe it was Sin Lee Jane. Lee Jane was very good for Malaysia. In fact, she made a couple of shows last year. The Queens, also the Greater Detroit Open on the PWBA Tour. And Birgit Poplar from Germany, who is here this week competing, getting ready for the Queens and other tour events. And that 2-pin there left for iJam's first shot in the 10th frame. Clean game here for Karen Rosbro. So important field shot for her. And she will move on from this pair, but with only 1 strike. Fresh oil this week on every block. Hold on, 2-8. And Restrepo opened in the 10th, made that one back in the 8th on the same lane, and shoots 204. We'll know a little bit more about the Queens slightly as we move forward into competition here. We know Rocio Restrepo is more than likely going to make a good run if we base it off her 2017 season to date. Who else will make a run at the Queens? We'll find out next week. Be sure to join us. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the Raising Cane's River Center. It has been the home of several events, of course, currently inhabiting the USBC Women's Championships. Prior to that, the NCAA Women's Championship, Women's Bowling Championship, of course, and as well as the Intercollegiate Team and Singles Championships. Good shot there from Tanya. That leaves a 4-pin. Matt Cannizzaro working diligently, as he always is. I'm not sure I met a person who works harder. Shot there from Jasmine. All right. Game 1 on 41 and 42 has come to an end. 201 for Tanya Rauminper. IJM finishes with 190. Summer Jasmine 173. Shermonte leaves the 1-2. Sonia, appreciate you watching. Appreciate you watching. Again, earlier we experienced just a brief
Hey, Matt.
Maria Jose Rodriguez,
Hi,
how are you
Matt.
today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
How's bowling going?
Always awesome.
Feeling better?
Feeling good.
Maria was having some issues earlier, stretching and doing some contortionist things, trying to get the kinks out earlier. And
Trying my yoga.
yeah, but looks like it's working. Smiling.
I'm always smiling.
It's true. It's true, but you're not wearing your tiara. I'm very upset.
My what? Oh, my tiara.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
no.
thought that was our deal.
I should have.
You need to wear the tiara.
For Queens, I'll bring it for Queens.
Just all the, yeah.
What if you just give me anyone? Or who will give me anyone? Bernice.
Okay.
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 I like
That's
it.
a good plan. There
like
you go. All right. So Maria Jose
Bye.
Rodriguez is going to win the Queens in 2017. You heard it here. All right. She won the event back in 2014. And every time I see her, I ask her, where's the tiara? I feel like she would just bowl better with the confidence of being the only bowler walking around with a tiara.
I would not disagree with that assessment. And folks, that voice you just heard, well, one was Maria Jose Rodriguez, who does that from time to time. She came over to say hello into the crowd mic, which was not hooked up. So she was speaking into a microphone that did not produce audio. So I handed her my headset so she could say hello to you all. And then a brief, quick interview with Matt Cannizzaro. I imagine most people would be familiar with you, sir, because you're a rock star and a legend, more so than me on any statue. But for those who are unfamiliar, this is Matt Cannizzaro, ladies and gentlemen. Open Championships guru. If you bowled at events, heard about it, more than likely you have seen or heard or listened to Matt at some point or another. And generally joins us on tour quite often, so we appreciate him. It's good to have him around. And an overall nice gentleman. Best way I can put it.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. And I'm curious to see when we turn off the mics what you're trying to butter me up for. But I'm glad to be back. It's every once in a while throughout the PWBA Tour season, planning on 3 or 4, maybe 5 events, because somebody in this booth right now has decided to skip out on the last event of the year, the Tour Championship. But that said, you're right. It's nice to come out and see the players, and I think it's more they know me just because I've been hanging around for 13 years, and you know they come to the Open Championships or the Women's Championships, the Queens. Like, I'm probably going to be there, so it's great to see a lot of them actually grow up and develop into terrific players, and we've seen them progress through Junior Team USA. I know right at the start of my career, got a chance to see Kayla Bandy and Brianna Cote do their Junior Team USA thing, and now Brianna, a champion out here on the PWBA Tour. We saw her get her official banner. And if you caught that, that was Angie Ramirez stopping by to let us know that she got her bad game out of the way earlier on our featured pair, 43 and 44. And now she'll be on the left-hand side here, 41 and 2, and plans to put on a show. So this will be her best game of the day. Certainly looking forward to that as the players make their way over to our featured pairs.
Yeah, coming up next, as we alluded to briefly, Game 2 will feature Angie Ramirez, Adriana Mazik. We'll take a look at where Adriana is in the standings. We saw her at the end of round 1, bowl on 43 and 44. She was pretty solid. Right now, or excuse me, after round 1, she was 32nd, so she would have been in the cut. Of course, have we finished competition? Danielle McEwen also on that pair. And we'll have Melissa Ann Fisher from Australia, along with Maria Jose Rodriguez and Verity Crawley, who we get a chance to see this group for the first time today. All right, just a brief delay as we work and get some of the monitors together. While we have a moment, again, feel free, folks. As always, let us know you're in the building, if you will. Give us a comment on the Live Now post. Our guy Eric, one of our regulars. Sir, I am taking attendance. You are indeed present, as he commented. Doug, big thanks to you for watching as well. Nice comment there. Just you look at the photos that we posted, and they do have a lot of 3.610s. How about that? And Sonia, no problem. Just a part of the score portion of it. I think some probably just didn't realize that there weren't names and such, but hopefully with as we move forward here in Game 2, we'll still have all of the names and such together. Hello to Carr from Yorkville, New York. Of course, rooting on Liz Colkin. Also in our featured pairs for round 2, I should say. In Game 3, we will welcome Tania Moore, Christy Asher, and Kelly Kulick on 41 and 42. This is Game 3. So giving you a preview of who is to come on the featured pairs. Brittany Himmelreich, Dina Buxton from Australia, Melbourne, Australia, and the reigning back-to-back player of the year, Liz Johnson, will join us in Game 3. In Game 4, we'll have Daria Payuk and Ashley Galante, the only pair with 2 players competing. And, well, the only group, I should say. They'll be on 43 and 44. We'll have Brianna Cote, Stacy Dalt, and Brittany Smith in Game 4 on 41 and 42. All right, looks like we are set to begin competition on these pairs.
All right, and with that, Mr. Williams gonna step out for a minute. And we've got game number 2 underway here on the second round of qualifying. 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open. A little bit of a messy start on 41 and 42. As soon as the updated standings become available, we'll get those to you. Right now, sit back and enjoy the best ladies in the world doing what they do here. Week 3 of the 2017 PWBA Tour. I mentioned it a lot. Some great international representation here on our featured pairs. Great shot there by Verity Crawley of England. Three bowlers on 43 and 4. 3 different countries represented. Colombia, Australia, and England. Still waiting for our first strike on 41 and 42. Looks like India Ramirez having some trouble with the approach, so taking a practice slide there. She said she has some thumb issues on the earlier squad, first round. Hopefully got those worked out during the break. Got the tail of 2 pairs here. Again, we are behind lanes 41 and 42, 43 and 4 here during qualifying. We'll adjust things a little bit for tomorrow as we head into the cashers round bright and early. Followed by match play and then the group step ladders. Just a standard PWBA event this week. Tomorrow night, we will know our 4 TV finalists for the Fountain Valley Open. They will advance to the first round of TV shows for the year. That will take place May 23rd in Baton Rouge as part of the USBC Queens. We'll tape 4 TV shows that day. And continue on with the 14 event PWBA season. Danielle McEwen delivers the first strike on our left-hand pair. This week's oil pattern, 38 feet, yielding much higher scores than we've seen the first 2 weeks. Clara Guerrero averaging over 230 in the opening round to lead the way. We saw her high game on the 2017 season as well, Samantha Shaden. At the front 10 earlier today. Leaked the last one a little bit right, 245 on her 11th shot. So 286, high game of the year. She said something distracted her. She should have backed off and didn't. So there's a perfect lesson for you out there. If you feel like you should stop, you probably should. Step off, reset, and get up there and throw your shot. Great spare pick up there by Ramirez, the 6'8". Cuban able to double up here. She now has the only 2 strikes. Great shot there by Angie Ramirez. It's game 8 of 12 for the day. Shortly we'll know the top 32 heading to tomorrow's cashers round.
That is indeed the number. Should be a fun one, I would think, these last few games, especially considering the pattern and the different scoring pace that the ladies have seen in the first 2 weeks. In round 1, we would have seen a few names who we may not be familiar with, and most fans may not be familiar with, who would have gone on to the round of 32 had it, of course, ended this morning. So looking forward to the end of the night and seeing what's going on. Could be one we're watching now, Adriana.
Well, sir, this young 2017 PWBA Tour season definitely testing the versatility of these players as well as their mental stamina. It sounds like, having not been here, but coming out here now this week and just hearing the recaps of the first few, while the conditions were challenging to say the least, I think keeping your head in it was definitely one of the hardest parts of the whole thing. If you're used to throwing a lot of strikes, and it sounds like that did not happen the first couple of weeks, and So whoever was the toughest mentally definitely had an advantage.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right about that. It was a significant test of the mental capacity. Bowling on tough conditions can take a toll physically, certainly. Good shot there from Verity Crawley. But mentally, to be able to withstand, maintain, and continue to push through to make various adjustments. And in some cases, especially in week one, just trying to hit the 1-3 if you're right-handed, 1-2, of course, left-handed. That itself was a challenge. This week, a little different. The 1-3 is available. The pocket is there. And so now it's, what do you need to do to carry? How many hand positions or what manipulative tools do you have or need to get through the block, get through Cash's round, match play, etc. How do you get lined up quick? And still some of the same things, of course. Making adjustments, fighting through transition. Talked to or heard a lot of ball talk during the break, and looking for some cleaner shells and different things like that in regards to ball motion. Kind of seeing something different and thinking you should do one thing, but you actually should do the opposite. So, different week, different pattern, but kind of still always the same mentality that you must have to compete week in and week out. It's tough. It's hard.
That's a good point there. We did hear that earlier. Some of the players, when they see their ball, maybe not hooked down lane, they think they need something stronger. Whereas really it's just the surface on that ball, and they need to go to something even a little bit weaker, something that's going to be more responsive down on the friction. So getting tricked a little bit, but a lot of helpful hands out here to kind of push them along. And one player came up to us right at the end of the break there, Sherry Tan from Singapore. She had about the shiniest bowling ball I've ever seen. They gave her a hard time when she was walking towards the paddock. That she already could see her reflection in it. How much shinier could it get? And she felt that it wasn't getting down the lane far enough. Sherry, a left-hander. And whatever she did, it worked. She started with the front 7, I believe, in game 1 here of our afternoon session on the way to a 243 game, and jumped up into 7th place. So a couple other big games in the opener. Ashley Galante, 246. She's in 3rd place right now. Missy Parkin, 267. And she's one who definitely can analyze what happened during the first block and make the necessary corrections and equipment changes and just do the things that she needs to do to stay in the hunt. So she was plus 55 with a 162 start on the fresh earlier and figured something out. Came back with 267 for game number 1 here. She is 4th overall. Clara Guerrero of Colombia still leading the way. She had 214 to start. She's at plus 206, leading by 56 pins over Cassandra Luthold, who also bowled well the first block and started with 174. So very interesting to see just what that 2-hour break, what you can make of it. You think that's the perfect way to go home and get a nap, get a shower maybe, put on a fresh jersey and come out and attack it a little bit differently. But we saw a lot of players stay in the venue, working on equipment, maybe trying something new, changing surface, and really thinking through what happened the first 6 games, and that is paying off for a handful of them already here in our 2nd round of qualifying.
He is Matt Cannizzaro. I am Emil Williams Jr., and we are live from the PWBA Fountain Valley Open at Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California. Just about an hour from Los Angeles. Anaheim, California, though, is just down the street.
Is that like 4 miles California time?
You're right. It does depend on the time, perhaps the day, and which way you decide to go. But it should take about an hour. Good shot there from McEwen. Danielle in her round 1 block on 43 and 44. She made a move late in that game, jumped way right, got out to at least 5, and threw some really good shots and was rewarded for them as well. That one was a pretty good shot as well.
While we're cruising past the halfway point here in game 2, you mentioned here we are, minutes away from so many cool things. Disneyland, the Dodgers, you name it. There's a lot happening here. And for these players, many of them, you know, the tour life, it's a thing. You know, it's not like perhaps the original intention, maybe back in 2015, just come out, you know, bowl for a couple days, go back to work, do their thing, and come back and do it again. But it seems like a lot of the players are doing the tour thing. We saw them, you know, the first week out in the San Francisco area, taking advantage of some of the great sightseeing out there, you know, hopping in the car and driving over to Sacramento, and now down here to, you know, the Southern California area. You know, really kind of the West Coast swing now. It's kind of set up that way, and for you, Emil, just the chance to come and work, and then back to the office, and then off to the next stop. So maybe not being able to take advantage so much of all that these great cities have to offer. But have you heard much from the players about how special this opportunity is, not just bowling-wise, but just of what they're able to enjoy and accomplish and do together while they're, you know, while they have this chance?
Yeah, I think, well, no one takes it for granted, I think, for sure. I think everyone with the opportunity to enjoy it, you know, cross things off the bucket list, and really kind of plan for the tour life. I mean, you go in with that plan, and obviously you know the schedule, and then as you're making your arrangements and travel plans and such, then it's, you know, where do we stay? And then, you know, some players had not just hotels, but, you know, able to rent, you know, houses and different things like that. So that Northern California, San Francisco, and then Sacramento, the first 2 stops, were really good for players. A lot of players actually went to Sacramento and then went back to San Francisco to do a little sightseeing, and then before making the drive on down to, you know, essentially Southern California. So heck of a opening leg, you know, from a sight perspective, to be able to see not all of California, obviously, but you know, 2 really significant areas in California. And then at the same time, of course, for those who bowled well, then that's kind of the extra caveat. Obviously, that's what they want to do first, right? Bowl well. But you can do that while you're getting a chance to see places and do things that maybe you hadn't planned on or wouldn't have had the chance to otherwise. It's certainly an opportunity. So it's been a lot of fun. You follow a lot of the players on social media, you can see exactly, you know, what they're doing and when they can do it. The beach this week was obviously pretty prominent. A little bit more in San Francisco, I should say, as well, but it was a little bit chillier, of course, in the Bay Area.
Well, you make a great point there too. You know, I haven't spent much time on the PBA tour, but here on the PWBA tour, the players are so personable. All of them seem to be very into the social media, the Snapchat, Instagram. So you really feel like you know them, and you can follow them across the country. It really is a coast to coast, going from, you know, Northern California all the way to the season ender in Virginia. So just very cool that they're very accessible. They're here signing autographs. They're very friendly no matter how they bowl. Again, you said they don't take it for granted. They're appreciating the opportunity to be professional bowlers and all that comes with that. And it's really a lot of fun to follow them in their adventures.
Danielle McEwen is a great follow, simply because A, she's active, B, yeah, she is like the true definition right now of a professional bowler. Angie a little high on that shot, looking for a triple, but travels all over the world and is always documenting socially what she's doing. through various platforms. And so she's a great example. And then just this week alone, saw a lot of the players, posting pics from the Santa Monica Pier, for example, and some videos. And so those are the things that they get a chance to see and do, of course, prior to bowling. I think even yesterday, in between photo shoots, some players got their photos taken early and then went back to the beach. So
Very
sounds
nice.
like a pretty good way to spend Thursday before practice.
Well, this week we have 83 players in the field, and 32 are going to get a check. So the check's guaranteed on the PWBA Tour. So nearly half of the players are going to take home some pretty good prize money. Compared to the entry fees, which is great. A lot of great corporate support. We got to thank everybody for helping the PWBA Tour survive and thrive here. It's a 3-year deal, 2015, 16, and 17, and things are going great. So 2018 already announced. It's happening. So we'll be back in 2018, and now that school's getting out, a lot of the top collegiate players, many are actually graduating from the NCAA programs. A lot of talk of them coming out here once graduation's over. The collegiate coaches are here. Shannon O'Keefe, Caleb Bandy. The school teachers, Allie Ijams. We're going to start seeing a few more of them. April Ellis, I'm sure, as the season winds on. Now that they have their summers off. So it's perfect for a lot of their professions. So very cool that, we're only going to see these fields grow. 22 international players in the field this week, heading into the Queens next week. Just amazing to see all the great support and the diversity, the talent that we have out here on tour. And the players from Singapore are going to head out after this week, and then we'll get a group from Malaysia. So just very, very cool to see. And maybe at one point they'll all be here together. That would be pretty cool as well.
Probably be a sold-out field if you really include that. And then open frame, 3 off the 6 for Danielle McEwen. Yeah, this is a great area. I mean, I'd like to come back. It's weird. I said this earlier, but I don't think I've been here. I think this might be my second or third time just in this area ever. And I don't know how that's happened. It's disappointing. But tons to do, as you mentioned. Disneyland.
You are coming back next year. It's on the schedule.
It is on the schedule. So
maybe start planning for the 2018 Fountain Valley Open and playing a couple extra days on each end if you can.
I tell you what, I'm going to do that.
I'm shocked that you didn't just plan to the mobile office and just go to the first event and then spend the whole. You know enough people out here, of course, your recent ties to the San Francisco area. I'm sure you could have found someone to crash with for a couple days and stayed out west. Take advantage.
Not sure I got any work done.
Well, I mean, they already pointed out here that you're doing all the work, so you're doing something.
No, sir. 192 for Maria Jose Rodriguez. Melissa Ann Fisher, very nice 236 from Australia. Brianna Mazik, strike in the first shot in the 10th. Angie Ramirez can strike for 189. Looks like she will go to the bag and give a go to some urethane potentially. Let's see what it looks like here. Verity Crawley, 4-pin.
You have a nice little group from down under this week and a few more on the way for the Queens. Trying to follow in the footsteps of Carol Giannotti, 1989 USBC Queens champ, USBC Hall of Famer, as well as Cara Honeychurch, Maxine Nabel, all PWBA Tour stars of the last generation. And now the new group joining us here in 2017.
Pin for McEwen. Could have been more. not a split, of course, she certainly was looking for. Isaac starts with 162, or ends with 162, excuse me.
Emil, the important number to be looking at this point, that number 32 spot. And after 7 games, it was minus 26. So that number dropping a little bit. It was around even or low minus for much of the first round. Certainly keep an eye on that. Verity Crawley was just under that number. She was on our feature pair moments ago. She was at minus 28. Still a long way to go. Only 8 games in. 4 more games and a lot of very talented players.
Well, game 2 has come to an end. Well, we talked about some names that we haven't seen so far early in regards to you know, Cashier's round and looking to potentially match play looking ahead. And I see a few names already that are looking to make some noise this week in the standings. We mentioned it a little bit, but Brandy Calderon in 9th after 7 games. I beg your pardon, 7-11.
Say her family knows a little something about bowling.
I think so. We'll be hearing a little bit more from Brandy, more than likely, as well, because we'll have her on an extra frame a couple times throughout the season. Look forward to that. We mentioned Jürgen Poplar from Germany, starting her tour season here at Fountain Valley, and looking forward to hopefully another good run at the Queens. She has bowled very well there, of course, last season making the show, and she bowled very well the previous season as well. Someone who is not unknown at this point, but still young, of course, and in that Rookie of the Year race that will transpire, of course, as the season moves on. Robin Renslow continuing to bowl well. Adriana Mazik, who was plus 18 prior to the previous game we just saw. So she will, of course, give some pins back to the field. Roberta Van, who is local, went to Cal State Fullerton, and I'm pretty sure bowled with Missy Park, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, or right after her in that particular college years. And she was 25th after 7. So good to see Jody Wessner, Samantha Shaden, and Tania Moore. I believe they all travel together, roommates, and they're all in 26th, 27th, and 28th. So hopefully they all make the cut, but I'm wondering if there would be a dinner or something like that on the line.
I say that's always rough when you don't want to be the one out. So a little bit extra pressure there, but always cool when everybody in the car makes the cut.
Absolutely.
And Tania does not want to be that one out, so she gets a nice break there. Crosses over and gets the 5 to go late.
Round 2, game 3. 7 o'clock Pacific time. I know a lot of our viewers will be leaving us at some point. Not all. Those, of course, on the Pacific time zone, perhaps Mountain time, will be with us throughout. Of course, already past 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Friday night. And the moon is bright. Gonna have some fun. Show you how it's done. TGIF. So appreciate you if your Friday night consists of the PWBA Tour and Extra Frame. Thank you. Watching a little Extra Frame at the club. Letting everyone know that bowling is cool. Good shot there from Dina Buxton. Again, joining us here, Dina Buxton, Brittany Himmelreich, and Liz Johnson on 43 and 44. First time we get to see that group and our group on 41 and 42. Kelly Kulick, Tania Moore, and Christy Asher. Christy from right here at Costa, or nearby Costa Mesa, I should say. Of course, Christy Asher, the wife of Barry Asher, former PBA Tour player. Barry was pro shop here at Fountain Bowl. Has custom a couple embroidery as well. Ten-time PBA champion, of course, PBA and USBC Hall of Fame.
Mr. Williams, I kind of have mixed feelings about the non-chat room situation on Extra Frame. Sometimes the opportunity to hear from the bowlers and get their questions on Bowl TV is pretty cool. Other times you kind of look at it and wonder what people are thinking, and you kind of wish there wasn't a chat room. So I don't know. I like what you've done with the Facebook situation, however, to where folks are able to send in their questions or comments, and you keep an eye on things, and I think that works just as well.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment from the chat room perspective. But, you know, obviously we spend a lot of hours in the bowling center on air. And it's always nice to know that you can confirm that there's one person watching. And so,
that's true.
Whether it's one comment or 40 comments, they're all welcome, simply because we just want to know that, that you're watching.
See, on Bowl TV, I have an exact number. I can see how many people would wish I would stop talking. Whereas on Extra Frame, we get the numbers after the fact. So, no doubt, they've been terrific the first couple weeks. It's not always the easiest thing, having a 12-hour conversation with yourself, but the parts I've tuned in for, usually the exciting parts, the group step ladder and match play. You know, it's nice to have the players and, you know, their cooperation and coming in the booth and really offering another dimension to the whole thing, giving their perspective from having just bowled for as few as 12 games and as many as 24. And just a handful of different players giving different perspectives, and certainly helps beef up the quality of the production for sure. The less they have to listen to us, and the more they get to listen to the ones out there actually doing the thing every week.
Indeed, we had Rocio Restrepo on during the group step ladder finals last week just to of course, give her thoughts and perspective on the pattern that week and her success to this point of the season. Obviously, that was immediately coming off an appearance or berth, I should say, in the Storm Sacramento Open TV Finals, making it 2 for 2 for her. She's going for 3 in a row this week, and of course already in a good position from a standings perspective. Of course, long way to go. We've got qualifying to finish today, as well as the Cashers round. But Rocio already kind of serving notice to the rest of the tour that she's not messing around.
Well, Rocio came up just short of a Player of the Year opportunity in 2016. Liz Johnson having another amazing year, back-to-back Player of the Year honors for her. Rocio, the runner-up last year, picked up a couple titles. So really her breakout season, and whether it's momentum from that or all the great hard work she puts in, or maybe a little bit of extra motivation from the run that her and Liz had going into the last event there. So she could have won the tour championship, right, and picked up Player of the Year, but I would imagine even more motivating having been that close and getting to win twice. Very emotional, and I have a feeling, pretty cool feeling, that she'd like to have 5, 6, 20 more times.
Yeah, I think so, no doubt about it. And she's good. I think it's weird. 2015 seems like so long ago at this point, but it was just 2 years. And of course, that was the relaunch of the PWBA Tour. She finished in the top 10 in points then. And of course, runner-up last year in the Player of the Year points race, and almost a strike as the rack saves the 10-pin from going down for Liz Johnson. 43 and 44 is so far so good for all 3 competitors on this pair. But like I said, row is row. And week in and week out, you know what to expect from her. She's confident, and everything is kind of in her hands, and she knows what's happening.
Well, Liz definitely not going anywhere. She's already on a TV show during the first 2 weeks, so and she really steps up, especially for the majors. And of course, we got the Queens coming up next week, and Liz a champion there a couple times. Just really, most of the players just getting the momentum of the early part of the season. Those joining us a little bit late. But imagine those are 2 names you're going to see pretty much every week up there towards the top of the standings. Liz said she was feeling a little under the weather here for our 3rd event of the year, but that just makes the storyline that much better. Gives us something a little different to talk about should she bowl well again.
Well, talking about tour life and just kind of setting up the travel, essentially, where Liz left Sacramento, and fiance Kasha came on out to Southern California early, and went to San Diego. They came out on Sunday and spent a couple days there. Went to a Padres game, for example, and so it's a good example of kind of setting things up to kind of enjoy before you compete. And speaking of Liz, that leaves a 6'10". Christy Asher gave the 6-7-10 a run. Back opens for Christy. We have looks like the front 7 on lane 35. Top spare there for Liz, an open frame.
I'm going to keep an eye on that front 7 and possibly head that way here should that continue. We had our highest game of the year earlier today. Samantha Shaden had the front 10 for 286. And speaking of scores, through 8 games now, available online, Clara Guerrero still leading the way at plus 227, average of 228.3. She's followed by Cassandra Luthold, plus 218, and then a drop-off, Daphne Tan. Nice start to this block, 225, 234. She is at plus 151. Missy Parkin, the local favorite, at plus 133. Missy living about 20 minutes away from here, pretty much her whole life. And they have 5 pro shops in the area, 3 of them within 20 minutes of Fountain Bowl. And that's Robin Renslow, it looks like, with the front 8 down to our left. So I will head that way shortly. Rest of the rundown, Rocio Restrepo is 5th. We're going to say that name a lot this weekend again, I'm sure. Brittany Smith, 6th. Ashley Galante, 7th at plus 120. And Birgit Poplar from Germany, plus 97. Sherry Tan of Singapore, plus 88 in 9th place. And Brandy Calderon at plus 76. Rounds out the top 10. Just outside of that, Kelly Kulik, PWBA spokesperson. Heard from Maria Jose Rodriguez earlier. She is in 14th place. Robert Renslow with the front 8. She is in 15th place. Liz Johnson, 17th overall. And the cut number with 4 games to go is at minus 32. So that drops a few more pins down to minus 32. Sandra Gongora is 32nd. Erin McCarthy, one pair to our left, is 2 pins out.
Front 6 there, and I believe it was Verity Crawley. Oh, maybe not. Looks like maybe it was Maria Jose Rodriguez. We'll see if the scores continue to, if they increase, I should say, let alone continue.
Uh-oh, the crowd goes wild with the oh, as Renslow looks like leaves a 10 pin on her 9th shot. Great run though. She can finish this one out. That'll be a huge boost for her to get up towards the top 10. And that's really where you want to be. Of course, the #1 goal is to make the cut to the top 32. But with only 6 more games to go tomorrow to make the top 12. Logic, the higher the better. I know many of the players, they're not just here to get a check, but to win a PWBA Tour title, get their name on a banner at the end of the lane. We saw Brianna Cote get her banner presented to her today for her win at the Lexington Open last year. First step though, gotta make the cut. And I think it's one of those things where the more consistently you make the cut, the more comfortable you get in those situations. Then the match play starts to happen, and then when match play starts, then you get to the step ladders, and then of course you're on a TV show. Missy Parkin, for her, match play is where it's at. That's her focus. You can't make TV if you don't make match play, and she's been there before. Won the USBC Queens while the PWBA was on hiatus, so still searching for her first official PWBA title. But she's been close a couple times this year. So have many of the players, but one step at a time. And great shot there by Buxton, bouncing back after the open frame. She's got strikes in 6 out of 8 frames here. She's in 49th place, 50 pins out of the number right now. Got a little bit of work to do, doing a nice job climbing out of it here. Came a long way from Australia.
Gina and Caitlin Comeen came out last week in Sacramento. That was their first stop. I believe they will definitely be at the Queens, and that could be, I don't remember exactly, but that might be it for at least for a few weeks or foreseeable future.
No, I get to follow a few of them on Facebook, social media. Get to meet them around the world. Got to spend some time with Rebecca Whiting at the World Cup. She'll be headed this way. Pretty big deal to be able to come over to the States and compete against the best in the world, and something they plan and save up for a long time to come out and test their skills. And it's always cool to, I think I said cool a lot today. A lot of things are cool here on the PWBA Tour, but
doing cool stuff.
A little bit starstruck, a little overwhelming with all the great storylines. But even talking to players from each country, just to hear how different it is in each country and what it takes to not only get to the level they're at, but to be able to come here and stay here even and compete. A lot of the players make their way into the collegiate programs in the U.S. and get the great education, get the great competition, and then try to stick around. Others compete for their countries, and but just hearing how different that is from Latvia to Singapore, it's pretty neat to hear all that.
Oh, Brittany Himmelreich. To the 10th frame. You're on 43 and 44, same with 41 and 42. Good spare there for Christy Asher. Hear a lot of the applause from the local support.
Nice little crowd on hand here now that the work day is over. The work week has completed. So great timing of the squads here on the PWBA Tour to be able to have this 6 p.m. qualifying round, and twice as many people as we saw earlier in the day now that everybody's out for the weekend. Great shot there by Kulik for the 4-bagger. Kelly 11th at plus 72 coming into this game. We'll make a nice jump in the standings here. She can finish this off. So we got 269 out there. Himmelreich can still get to 234. Great shot there, and just the 10 to go. Brittany 37th after 8, so within striking distance. So the players have got standings on a big scrolling screen down by lane 60, but if you're on the low end of this vast bowling center and you're curious on how things are going, luckily the scores are online, so you can check out game by game that way. But to know that you're close, certainly a true test right there to how you handle that situation. Are you gonna shoot the big game to get in there, or are you gonna squeeze it under pressure? So a lot of learning opportunities, a lot of chances to step up as well.
Well, we know things usually get a little close. Of course, as we get towards the end of rounds and blocks. Definitely expect it to be the same, especially with some of the scores we've seen today. So if someone needs a big game, it's not out of the question this week, as opposed to what would have been, 286 week one. Would have just won you the title right then, right then and there.
Well, Emil, you've had a chance to see the 3 different patterns and how clearly different they are. And then the big challenge with the way that the PWBA is set up is that there's going to be 4 TV shows taking place on May 23rd for Rocio Restrepo. 2 shows already with the potential for 2 more. That's one of those situations. It's interesting how you can attack that mentally because you have the different patterns, and you're gonna have to reset yourself and your equipment within 30 minutes to an hour in between shows as they get redressed and set up. And we saw it last year with Shannon Pluhowski at the US Open, and having to reset after heartbreaking is probably the best word. Very emotional loss at that event. And then have to reset and, hop on TV again. And you could tell, visibly, that she was still feeling the effects going into that second show. So, curious on how, somebody like Rocio, how you can mentally prepare for that, knowing what it's going to be like.
It is indeed interesting. As we see, right on the spare for Kelly Kulick, quietly shooting 258 with a spare here. It is the potential is there, of course. And of course, she's kind of the first person to essentially kind of be in that position potentially because of the great start that she is on. I'll give it a run, Liz. She'll finish with 213, 231 for Himmelreich, and 217 for Buxton. So favorable game for all, games for all on 43 and 44. We're back to Restrepo. As Asher shot 142, Tania Moore 189, and again 258 for Kelly Kulick. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do mentally. However you got to do it. If you look at it in the way of, someone gets that opportunity, could win, could be like 4 titles in one day. Like, that would be incredible considering the way it all works. Winning 2 in a day itself with just what we talked about, resetting in different conditions. And she bowled on, of course, and she made shows on 2 very demanding conditions as well. So it will be, I think, maybe for her from that schedule and knowing which one's the first and can kind of get prepared for each one, kind of know. But there's some different things and all types of things to take into account. But I think she's ready for anything. I think
because that's how she is.
That's the way she is.
But you're right, though. It can work the other way as well. I mean, you could have a great show and you can win and have extra confidence and the momentum at that point too. So I can see it both ways, but just very interesting to see how the players handle that. You know, of course, who wouldn't want to be in that position to be on multiple TV shows and have a chance to win more than one PWBA title? So good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, I think you'd want to. Would you have it any other way, obviously? Because, as we say, the only thing you can do is put yourself in position, and she's done that, and she will be in position this week, and then of course the Queens. You know, that's the first major of the year, and you talk about separation from everyone else on tour from a points perspective. All postseason awards are garnered on points, folks. So there's no vote. It is pretty cut and dry, essentially. You lead the tour in points, and you'll be the player of the year. And you know, points don't go unnoticed. Essentially, it's not. When you think about that category, you say, well, why isn't it a vote? And it may mean more, but you know, points generally mean your consistency level throughout. If you've won a few times, and you would no doubt be near the top. Also, points along with winning a title. It's winning a title and or enough competition points gets you to the season-ending Smithfield PWBA Tour Championship. So the points race will always be something to watch. Look forward to that as well. It's Daria Payuk and Ashley Galante, the only group with just 2 on a pair. Now on 43 and 44 as we begin game 4. 41 and 42 will feature Brianna Cote, Stacy Dalt, and Brittany Smith.
You mentioned the points list and the majors coming up, and one player that comes to mind is Shannon O'Keefe, who had a terrific 2016 season. 2015 didn't end how she hoped, but she came back and was racking up the wins in 2016. But when it came down to the majors, the extra points on the line, and she had some struggles and missed an event or two for work reasons, so had a big impact on those points and the Player of the Year possibilities. So it's always great to perform consistently in the standard events week to week, and $10,000 on the line at each event. But then the majors, usually $20,000 and double points. So just a lot of things happening all in 2 or 3 day increments here on the PWBA Tour. Nice pickup there by Daria Pike. Holy cow. So back-to-back splits, and gonna try to figure something out here, but yeah, the 4, 8, 10 it looked like. So here at our featured pair, 43 and 4. Last game, we saw boatloads of strikes, especially early. But now 0 for 4 here in our fourth game of the day. Great shot there. Splits the 8-9 after back-to-back splits. So Daria back on track.
Hopefully you were talking about something cool. You were getting into a good conversation, good point there, and I had to go adjust.
Then you bailed on me, so yeah, we've moved on. Chatting with Aaron Smith right now at the USBC Open Championships. I feel like it's a little bit of deja vu, but there's a group called Bowling Dynamics Pro Shop, or just bowlingdynamics.com or something to that effect. David Sirigliano from the Phoenix. Last year when we were at one of the PWBA stops, they made a run at the team event, so kept an eye on that. We had a 300 that night. All kinds of excitement the next day, and looks like this year is shaping up to be much of the same. That is out in Las Vegas right now, so multitasking as we watch the final few games of qualifying here at the PWBA Fountain Valley Open.
Chat room. Let me check Facebook, see if we've gotten any new viewers or comments. Of course, folks, feel free to do so. Got a couple Live Now posts on one on Facebook. Live Now round 2. Again, Live Now round 2. That's also on Twitter and on Instagram. That one accompanied with the round 1 leader, Clara Guerrero. Was someone I forgot to say hello to and mention. I believe that was Brent Korf, who was watching from Carmichael, California, and loves Leanne Holsenberg. So he's rooting for. Earlier, Matt, during round 1, we had Leanne on one pair, we had Carolyn on another pair, and then the next game we had Wendy McPherson. And I said it would be just really great, as we see a great shot there from Payo, to almost essentially, you know, we know the PWBA Tour is back, but it would be almost kind of nostalgic, sentimental in a sense, if one of those three, or someone like Tish Johnson, for example, as well, were to not only make a TV show, but really win. Carolyn made one last year, but to have one of those individuals and someone like that win a title, like in 2017, and really say, well, it's really come full circle and the tour is really back, for example. That would certainly be something that I would look forward to.
Well, can't help but get a little bit starstruck anytime those players come by, and knowing that they don't like to hear the story, but we grew up watching them on TV, and a lot of these players grew up wanting to be them and did not have that opportunity for a long time coming out of college. The Missy Parkins, the Andrew Asbadis, just right in that window, and now here we are. So those players understand how important it is to support this endeavor, and they love every minute of it. So they're here to help keep it going. And so the players like the Robin Renslows, the Liz Colkins coming out of college now will have the opportunity to continue and be professional bowlers. Another name that stands out is Jasmine Mason, from the University of Nebraska. Word is that she is headed to the USBC Open Championship soon, now that her NCAA career, I believe, has come to a close. So no doubt, again, now that schools are getting out, people are graduating, a great new crop of potential rookies of the year coming our way.
It's one of the, I won't say cool because you say cool.
That seems to be the word of the day.
But one of the extraordinary opportunities that we have is to watch the young talent. And it's weird because the majority of the tour is young, in a sense, whether you're even early 30s, mid 20s, early 30s, you might be considered, someone who is getting older, or kind of in comparison to someone who's 22 on tour. But because the tour is still relatively young in that sense, everyone's still young. But
only as old as you feel.
Correct.
That's what they say.
But now we throw in that element of what we just mentioned, that collegiate portion where you can it's almost like scouting in a sense where, we watch collegiate bowling all the time. We just saw the NCAAs and the ITCs happen and the ISCs. And at some point, at least you hope, but a couple of those players, whether they join or bowl a few events and work their way into it, whatever the case may be, will be out here. And Brittany Smith, for example, as we watch her, formerly of Grandview University. Prime example, bowled at Grandview. In fact, was the most valuable player of the year for the 2015-16 collegiate season. Bowled a few events last year, but most notably the Greater Detroit Open, where she finished tied for 5th, just missed the TV show, lost out to Stephanie Johnson.
Well, I think if you go up and down the line here, just about every player with some sort of collegiate or international experience, whether bowling for their countries or one of the great collegiate programs here, either NCAA or USBC collegiate. It's just a cliche word, the stepping stone. And it really is. And the players now that they have something to strive for, they're working their way through the ranks. And then what better to do after graduating from 4 stressful years of college than take a summer and try to be a professional bowler. Little fact of the day here, Emil. You say Daria Payuk a lot. Terrific player, Weber International. Trains at the Kegel Training Center. A lot of great videos on Facebook as she trains for these events. Great spare shooter.
Spare.
Her second split on that lane that she's picked up. So if you're going to leave it, better pick it up. But first time I ran into Daria was at the World Cup in 2008. So nearly a decade ago. And she was good back then. And she had to be all of 15 or 16 at the time. And now a national champion, still obviously representing her Poland, her native Poland, and now a rising star. I mean, she hasn't won anything, but she's certainly proven herself in many events so far. The U.S. Open last year comes to mind, where she made a run in match play and did a great experience and come a long way. So a lot of these players, again to watch them grow up and take advantage of their opportunities. And very excited about the next generation headed our way after a couple times at the World Youth Championships, just seeing who's headed out here. That's a good recruiting tool for the collegiate coaches, and then a training ground for the PWBA. We heard some of the ball reps and such, talking about who's coming around the corner. So pretty neat. Not cool, but pretty neat to see the 2018 schedule announced, and that we're gonna see this through and have a bright future.
Payuk was the second seed after qualifying last year at the Queens. Mission made match play at the U.S. Women's Open, so two really good opportunities to kind of show her skill, and I imagine it opened up some eyes last year. And of course, when you find out that she's bowling on tour and for the most part full time, and you get an opportunity to watch a player like that to kind of go through everything you said, from the cashers around, getting there, then to making match play, and then hopefully through step ladders or right onto the TV show, etc., and then on to TV. So we get to watch her progress, or progress, I should say, as a player, and watch her progress on Extra Frame and CBS Sports Network, hopefully at some point in the future.
Just one pair to our left, another great international player, Tanya Lopez of Mexico. Split in the first, but quickly got back on track and strikes in the next 7 frames. And with that, we'll check and see. We've got our standings updated. Emil was peeking at those a minute ago. Clara Guerrero still leading the way, averaging 225. She now is just 6 pins ahead of Cassandra Luthold. And Luthold had 268 in game 2, 203 in game 3 to close that gap a little bit. Daphne Tan still hanging around in 3rd place. Missy Parkin. Brittany Smith here in our featured pair is 5th at plus 140. So about 90 pins behind Guerrero. Kelly Kulik up to 6th place. Restrepo 7th. Renslow is 8th. Past Queens champion Maria Jose Rodriguez is 9th. Tied with Ashley Galante here in our featured pair at plus 93. That's a 210 average to be in the top 10 right now. Tanya Lopez is at plus 84, so a couple more strikes and she will jump her way up, possibly into the top 5 here in just a moment. The cut number after 9 of 12 games has stayed steady at minus 27. Caitlin Comain of Australia is at minus 27, a 197 average, but still a few players within 1 or 2 strikes or spares of that spot. So could get dramatic, and we'll have it all for you here on Extra Frame. This is Matt Canizaro and Emil Williams Jr. So I am here this week just to make you appreciate the weeks where Emil is here all by himself.
That's funny. That could be, you can take that in a couple different ways. You could essentially be talking about yourself.
Yeah, the people have to listen to me this week.
Of course you would.
They're going to appreciate you that much more when this is all done. So you'll be even more of a celebrity next week. Everybody wants to say hi, shake your hand. And thanks for getting rid of that guy.
You know,
then the other guy will be there.
I did say earlier, those who were watching, that I met a couple people who watched and have viewed just in the first 2 weeks today. So appreciate it. They live in the area. A couple actually were coached by Missy Parkin, so they came by to, of course, to root for her, cheer her on. And so a couple taps on the shoulder. Of course, I didn't know who they were. And then said, hey, what's your name? And then I said, oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing? I remember you talked on Facebook. Our quote-unquote chat. That's why we have it.
It works. Social media, 2017, that's what we do. So I was even able to discover a lot of undiscovered content, PWBA-wise. You guys have been very busy this off season, keeping things fresh. So, folks, if you're not a fan or you don't like the PWBA Facebook and Twitter, I encourage you to do so. Keep an eye on PWBA.com for a lot of great stories year-round. Game number 10 winding down. Galante and Payuk now in the 10th frame. Ashley can get to 201. Again, she is tied for 9th after 9 games. Daria 20th.
Good shot.
Daria picking up a couple splits here to possibly turn out a pretty decent game here. She could get to 212 after all that mess earlier. Splits to start. Couple nice conversions, so I wouldn't say she's comfortable at this point in 20th place, but going in the right direction here. Daria up in the 10th. Great shot on lane 44 for the first one. Now in the 10th frame on 41 and 42 as well. Great shot from Dalt. She can get to 198. We got Cote working on 3 in a row. Get to 226. Smith again, 5th coming into this game. Struggling a little bit. Split there in the 5th. So far unable to double. And the miscue on the 10 pin there. The best she can do now is 182. Great shot from Daria. One more gives her 212. Certainly didn't look like 212 after 3 frames, but that's why she's a hard worker, figured things out.
Shot there from Cote and the 10th. Right along here. 180 for Galante, who's had a good day. Payuk in her spare shooting. Boy, keeping her in this one and able to pull out here 212. That's the definition of a great game on this level. Spare shooting kind of keeps you afloat.
Cote finishes with 215. Dalton 185, and now Brittany Smith up in the 10th. She can get to 182, make that 172. We are winding down. This is game 10 coming to a close. Game 11 coming up in just a minute, then the finale. After 12 games, we'll cut the field from the top, or from 83 to the top 32 for tomorrow's cashers round. We'll have game 11 coming up in just one moment. Matt Canizaro and Emil Williams Jr. here live at Fountain Bowl. 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open continues in just one moment. number 11 underway here at Fountain Bowl. Talented couple pairs here. Collegiate champion Caitlin Mayall. Singapore's Daphne Tan. Shannon O'Keefe recently picked up a pair of national titles as the women's head coach at McKendree. Now she's here to do her thing for the summer and add to the success she had in 2016. To our right, senior standout Paula Vidad. Seen her win the USBC Senior Queens, Senior US Women's Open. Also got Wei Finn, Wei. Rookie of the Year in 2016 with a win at the Smithfield Tour Championship. And Dawn Gorman of Oceanside, California joining us here. Creep our way closer to the cut from 83 down to 32 for tomorrow's Cashers round.
Folks, don't forget, I know the names are not up on the telescores. Score monitors are working on that. So, but letter B is Shannon O'Keefe. Letter A is Caitlin Mayall, that mentioned, and C is Daphne Tan. B, of course, is Wei. Wei Finn, full name, but Wei is their actual first name. C, of course, Paula Vidal, and A. And it's Dawn Gorman. Get down to the nitty-gritty. Former broadcast colleague of mine used to say, although it's not game 6 yet, but we're inching there, he would call the fourth quarter, essentially, of a basketball game, the money period. Get down to it. A lot of things on the line. In this case, of course, top 32 is what will be on the line and what is on the line currently. I mentioned some different names that may appear in the top 32, so we'll be looking forward to our scoreboard update momentarily.
Well, sir, as our old friend Kevin Olson might say in this situation, you probably can't make the top 12 if you don't make the top 32.
That's a very smart man, Kevin Olson.
Great shot there by Way, but the 8-pin. Nay, Way. Just like that, halfway through. Game number 11. One more to go for that final push.
Shout out to my man Omar Arnett, checking in on via Facebook. Talked about the tour and the hiatus.
So that gentleman's wife, Anita Arnett, I don't doubt for a bit would have been a dominant force, and probably still could be if she chose to do that. They are adulting now. A nice family, son Mason. He had a good question though. His curve, of course, is the conditioner that is being used this week. And is it new for the season? That's a good question. The answer would be, I'll tell you more later, but not sure offhand. Obviously we know about ice and fire, but today was the first time that I saw curve as well, or yesterday I should say. So be curious to see, and we've got a few different things obviously with some of the patterns you've seen so far, and then some of the patterns will not be released as well. Last week's pattern will not be released until after the show airs, for example. I think it could be some of the newer things on the tour this season, but I'd like to confirm that for you, so I'll do a little legwork. Hello to William Watkins, watching from Jackson, Michigan. There's a family out there in Jackson. Hello, William. Also cheering for Daria.
Way not liking lane 44. The stone 8 last time, and now the 9-pin uncooperative here in the 6th. Still waiting for some scores after 10. Emil getting himself a boost of potassium here as we get towards the finish line of our live stream day as well.
This guy, Matt, man, I tell you. It's been several years since I've known this man. I'm very thankful for him. We've done a lot of live streaming together. And there's probably not one broadcast where I'm not eating at some point, and he never just points it out, which that's kind of what he does. It's kind of his thing too, which I know that now, but it still makes me laugh at certain situations. Also good at mentioning food items, and sometimes they appear. That has happened a couple times.
I believe that worked for Mr. Smith.
It did.
At the Hoosier Classic this year, learning from the best. See, Mr. Williams, good thing you eat all that healthy food, because I think I just saw you have a little bit of a heart attack right there when the live stream monitor went black for a moment.
Not used to that. Got to get used to it and turn it off.
But it's all good. Let's hope for an uneventful game 11 here. Besides a lot of strikes, of course. Our 10-game standings. Clara Guerrero inching her way along, bowling consistently, plus 53 for the block, but maintains her lead. She's at plus 245, averaging 224.5. 50 pins back is Cassandra Luthold. Daphne Tan is third. Missy Parkin is fourth at plus 186. Kelly Kulik, a couple big games. She's plus 83 here on the afternoon squad. She's at plus 144. Big move though, the last 3 games for Tanya Lopez of Mexico. 943. Last 3, 243, 228, and 256. She's 6th at plus 140 now. She was minus in the opening round, so clearly went to the right place for lunch, figured things out, got some rest, and now back with her striking shoes on. Rocio Restrepo is 7th. Brittany Smith down to 8th. Birgit Poplar from Germany is at plus 90 at 9th. And Sherry Tan of Singapore rounds out the top 10 at plus 84. Shannon O'Keefe, however, mixing them up there and trying to make a late push here. She is 11th. Having a nice block at plus 87. Looking to add to that, she can still get to 258 here. This game, again, plus 76, averaging 207 for the day. But the all-important number right now, 32nd spot. We have a tie for 31st. Caitlin Mayall is part of that tie at minus 31. Gonna need to finish strong here. She's tied with Megan Kelly, minus 31, a 196.9 average. Just a couple pins back. Kilmaine from Australia. CDB, Carolyn Doran Ballard, only 7 pins back. A lot of players very close to that number with 2 to go. And Daphne Tan strikes there on lane 42. She is 3rd overall. Say she's got to feel pretty confident about a spot in the top 32 here with 1 game and 1 frame to go.
Say hello to, apologize if it's Jean or Jeannie, but I'll go Jean DeRico from Rochester, New York, cheering on Heather. I imagine there would be some relation potentially. there, of course. And they're competing for the first time this season. A couple players making this event their first. Good shot there from Mayal.
Needing every bit of it and more. Gonna need a big finish for Caitlin to make her way into the top 32.
Thanks to Nationwide, of course, one of the PWBA Tour sponsors. Nationwide was out on site. They'll be back tomorrow as well. You're in the building, we'll have an opportunity to, or for those in the building, we'll have an opportunity to win a Nationwide Visiball. So big thanks again to Nationwide coming out. They'll be at several events this season. Of course, the title sponsors this year of the PWBA Rochester Open. AMF Gates Lanes. Of course, Nationwide is on your side. Shot there from Daphne Tan. She makes it 4 in a row. And Daphne Tan was letter B, or excuse me, C. Shannon O'Keefe was letter B. Caitlin Mayall was letter A. There from Paula. 10-pin, Vidal letter C, Gorman letter A, Way letter B. Big shot there for O'Keefe. She's in the 230s.
So Amelia just a couple more shots away from snack time again.
Snack time.
As we get ready for game number 12. You already got your food groups out of the way. Got your banana there. Next thing, gonna come back with a container of Pringles or something, right?
No.
Pop the top. What do they call that thing?
That's a good question. I used to know that.
That container thing?
It does. It's supposed to make a sound, you know.
When you pop the top, yeah.
No, there's some apples and oranges in there, and that would be next for me. I gotta keep it light these days. I'm not the same guy I was in 2010 when we first met. And my dietitian is also listening.
Yeah, speaking of which, that's why you're being so nice to me today. You're trying to butter me up because you want me to work for you for that last event of the year. So you can have the day off.
Whether or not you're there. 5-pin here for Way to finish, or almost finish the 10th frame. See if Way goes to something different on the field. Off to our left, Diana Z, DZ3, Diana Zabialova, whichever one you prefer. Talk about somebody and making some noise and breaking through. Well, that shot, you saw a little bit of it in the left corner of your screen there, 310, but she can shoot 237 if she makes it, breaking through for TV purposes. Last week at the Storm Sacramento Open.
Feels like we just got underway, sir, but we are moments away from the finale and from narrowing down this field here at the PWBA Fountain Valley Open. We're going to say goodbye to 51 players.
Coming up next in Game 6, we will have Samantha Shade, Karen Russell, and Clara Guerrero, 41 and 42, 43 and 44, Elise Bolton, Danielle Johnson, and 4-time champion back in the 70s on the PWBA Tour, Cheryl Robinson. So, while we await the beginning of Game 6, or the start of it, we will not leave you in limbo, so to speak. If you have been watching us throughout the first couple of weeks, you'll know that we talk about our PWBA vaults and things that we have run on social during the course of the offseason, as well as some of the player bios that we shot during or at the Smithfield Tour Championship last season. And we, of course, ran through the offseason as well. So speaking of that, with Clara Guerrero leading the way, and coming up next, let's learn a little more about Clara and watch her PWBA player profile video. And Game 6 around the corner, so don't go anywhere, folks. 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open, Bowl TV on Extra Frame.
Coffee, yes.
Hot or ice?
Hot. I mean, I can definitely do both, but being Colombian, we were brought up having a lot of cups of coffee a day for sure, and we use it hot at home. There are two: soccer, love soccer, and tennis. Big fan of tennis. Facebook, for sure. I love to go there. I don't like to post a lot of things, but I definitely go and look at what everyone is doing quite often. It's very ordinary, like everyday kind of meal. I love to cook lentejas So it's like lentils with like goulash kind of steak, and our food in a way is very country, very simple and country. It's making me hungry already. No, I'm a terrible singer. I'm a terrible singer. So I know, not very often. I might have, yes, a couple of times in the past, but that's not my thing. I am not as calm as I might look when I'm bowling. Yes, like I think way too much. My mind is going crazy most of the time, and I try to look calm and stay calm, and keep breathing and saying positive things to myself. But actually, my brain is kind of complicated. I will probably pick Julia Roberts.
Pretty woman, won't you pardon me?
I try to always think about right here, right now, like live the present, try not to get so caught up in the past and in the future. I mean, I found myself doing it more often than I want to, but sometimes when I'm in difficult situations, bowling or competing, or even in my everyday life, I try to come back to live the now, the moment.
right, folks, again, coming up on our featured pairs here. Samantha Shaden, Karen Russell, and Clara Guerrero on 41 and 42. Elise Bolton, Cheryl Robinson, and Danielle Johnson on 43 and 44. Looks like those pairs just finishing up, about to make their way. So I want to give you a little bit of bowling while we can. So right now you're watching Kayla Pashina, Sandra Gongora, and Sandy Magana. Big thanks to Kathy Kavicki, PWBA Tour Coordinator, as well as the merchandise manager here on site, bringing us some snacks with a couple of granola bars and some water. And I got my apple, which was all a part of one huge canister. In fact, there's an entire fruit canister over in the tournament staff in our office there. So big thanks to Kathy for bringing that out. And this is pretty good, actually. I might get another one while we wait. But again, watching some bowling here. So we have probably now assured that 41, 42, 43, and 44 will probably be the last. We'll have the last bowling. And so any cashers around, potential noise in Game 6, we might have it for you. But you'll be able to kick it with us, at least for the final frames of game number 6.
Well, Clara Guerrero coming our way. She's been leading pretty much most of today. Let's see if she can maintain that lead through 12 games, and perhaps we'll be able to catch up with her for a minute and get her thoughts on today's performance.
All right, 43 and 44, off and running. Again, Cheryl Robinson, 4-time champion on the PWBA Tour. Danielle Johnson, Fresno. California. And Elise Bolton from Merritt Island, Florida. Shayden, first to come down for 41 and 42. And she'll be joined by Karen Russell and tournament leader Clara Guerrero. Canizaro. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Thank you to all of our viewers. Those of you who have stayed the course. Nearing midnight on the East Coast in the Eastern time zone. Nearing 11 p.m. Central time. And if you are here locally, Pacific, perhaps on Mountain, you can still hang out for a little bit. Of course, this is game 6. Round 2, game 12 of the day. All right, flat 10 there for Samantha Shayden, and we are underway on 41 and 42. All right, early double for Elise Bolton. He's had a pretty good youth career. Had great success at Nebraska. Here's Karen Russell, El Dorado Hills. Karen has bowled the first 3 stops. PWBA Tour. Pretty good shot there, and she gets the 4-9 to fall. And here is tournament leader Clara Guerrero. An opportunity to see her. Her final game before the Cashers round cut. She will be participating in tomorrow's bonus bowling. And I see why. Shots like that.
Sir, she was a little bit mad at you today.
I heard.
Yep, I went down to get some video highlights of her, and she said, Emil did this yesterday. I believe the word she used was cute. You did not get the cutest strike that was possible out there. So we had a little bit of a review process. And when she saw me coming with the camera, she said, well, I can't say exactly what she said, but essentially, when she knew the camera was on, she tried her butt off to make it look fierce and powerful and cute. And we posted that one earlier. So again, very personable out here in the settee area. The players love any chance they can to showcase the sport they love. We talked about all their social media and how they chronicle all their competition and travels, what balls they're throwing, how they practice, when they go to the gym. It's the real deal. And pretty much any time you can approach one of the players and have a pretty good conversation. And if you need anything, they are glad to do what they can to promote the sport.
Pin there for Danielle Johnson. Peters is a good evening from Fairfield, California. A 4-hour drive from Fresno. Able to catch the last 2 games this evening. Let's go Wendy Mack. So hello to Kenny Seymour. From Woodcliff, Ohio. Good shot there from Cheryl Robinson. And Brian McLean from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Brian always checking in, and how about that for Clara? Nice break. The 3-pin to bounce off the screen. You come on back and tap the 10. So take it. Brian always checking in, watching, and providing compliments. We appreciate it, Brian. Eric says hashtag bromance. I don't know if we're there yet. I don't know. I mean, he's okay. No, he's an all right guy and everything. No LeBron and D Wade kind of thing, you know. Maybe there was back in the OC days. All right, Samantha Shaden, really double. How about a 4-bagger for Elise Bolton? Yeah, 4-pin instead. Shot. Score update should be coming shortly. All the pairs and done with game 5.
There's got to be some more appropriate dynamic duos out there, I would think.
Well, I mean, you could say the Batman and Robin, but that's very cliche. And it also means that someone is clearly not in control. Someone's not in charge.
I never feel in control. Definitely not when there's technology involved.
After 11 games, your scoreboard update brought to you by Nationwide. Clara plus 255. She has had 1 game under 200 today. It is 186, so it's happened. Game 4, round 1. Sandra Luthold still in second at plus 210. Daphne Tan in third at plus 208. Sherry Tan is in fourth now at plus 132, so the first left-hander. We see here, top 5, Missy Parkin is in fifth, tied for fifth with Kelly Kulick at plus 131. Tanya Lopez is only going to make the cashier's round this week Missed it last week, struggled, but bowled well in week number 1. Tough condition to make the Cashers round, so she'll be 2 out of 3 in that category this week, and looking for more tomorrow. Brittany Smith in eighth, at plus 123. Shannon O'Keefe in 9th at plus 111. Brianna Cote is in 10th at plus 99. Right now, your cut line would be minus 38.
It will belong to Sandra Gongora.
Struggled a little bit here, going back-to-back 175, 177. She's got a double. The head pin wraps around the 10 on the washout attempt for Samantha Shaden. Gongora is to our left, just one pair away. They fin around. Using 31st at minus 32. Megan Kelly is minus 26 and 30th. Samantha Shaden is 29th. Looking for bonus bowling as well at minus 21.
Well, Emil, big opportunity here for Samantha, I think, to prove something to herself and to everybody else, as she is close to that number. And two things can happen here. And she's throwing the big shots, and we've seen her do it. She had 300 at the US Open a couple of years ago, and some pretty serious conditions there. And made a run at perfection earlier today. So, but definitely a big opportunity to deliver here in the final game to make it into the top 32.
Liz Culkin around the number. She's in 34th. Caitlin Mayall is actually 33rd at minus 40. Just 2 sticks away. Gongora, solid 8. Well, you would just hate to see a stone 8 prop somebody from Cashers round. So she'll get 1 pin back. So she is minus 39. Keep that in mind if she will be the number. Heather Dorico needs a big game. She's in 35th at minus 50. Adriana Mazik was in the cut for most of the day. Has struggled in the second block a little bit. Her even games have been not kind. 232, 162, 214, 168. Last game shot 184. She'll need some help. Danielle McEwen. Very rare to see Danielle outside of any cut. She's in 37, minus 62. Speaking of rare, Diana Zabialova in 38 at minus 63. Berta Van, who was in the cut for some time here today, dropped a few spots as well, so Poplar. She just finished up with like 160-ish. But she was at plus 90, so she'll be all right. Did Dorico help on the 5? No. Heather with a spare would be in the 170s. Phil Shaden, good shot. Big double for Samantha. Around the number last week. Coming up back half. See Allie eye jams with what looks to be a 3-bagger. Allie in 60 at minus 161. Megan Kelly to our right. Big spare. See Megan around the number as well. She is in the number at the moment. 30th at minus 26. And Gongora was 32nd at minus 39. She shot 199 game 6. Gave one back. Romeo. Two, 4, 5. Robinson.
All right, ladies.
Megan Kelly struck in the 9th. We'll keep an eye on her progress. Guerrero. 3-bagger for Clara, closing up that open frame in the 4th. Side there for Stacey Watson from San Diego, making the drive to come out and compete. good shot from Elise Bolton. The Open coming in the 6th, another 3-bagger. Elise back out on tour, again her first event of the season. Shade now to deal with the 3-6-10. Good news here for Shade. She'll be in a good spot. Set herself up perfectly here in the 9th and 10th. She's again -21 coming into this game. Speaking of 3-6-10s, Megan Kelly makes a 3-6-10 in the 10th frame. The strike will give her 195. And she would move to -31. Still be ahead of Gongora. Niue Finn was in between those two players in the standings. Kelly gets 6. And finishes with 191. We'll make that now -35 for Megan Kelly. And Gongora is -39. She was 32nd coming into this game. Good shot there for Karen Russell. Leaves the 4-pin. Tripped to 4-9 early on that lane. How about Bolton? And 10-pin there for Elise. First shot in the 10th. Don't forget, folks, we'll just pick up your leader. After this event, or excuse me, after this game, on our social pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Unsure what Cassandra Lutho did this game, or Daphne Tan. There certainly could be Clara Guerrero, as it has been for a while, and a wicked messenger. No one saw off camera, but for Rocio Restrepo. And Cheryl Robinson shoots 154. Spare for Bolton. Nice game there for Elise. She shoots 225. Clara up now, 9th frame. Good shot. All right, Samantha Shaden's got a chance to put some distance between herself and the cut number here. 231 max score out there. Danielle Johnson finished with 182 over on 43. No bowling to our right. Minimal bowling to our left. 43 and, excuse me, 41 and 42. That's got to hurry. All right, 1, 2, 4, 7. 4 shaded. There is Karen Russell already with 1 strike in the 10th. Has thrown some good shots here this game. And that one is through the nose. Be sure to check PWBA.com for your results, of course, and to see basically who made match play open in the 10th. For Shaden, she shoots 199. And she will give 1 back. She'll be minus 22, which probably is enough, but you never know. And Karen Russell finishes out 184. Now Clara Guerrero will close it out. Pin there for Clara Spear. She'll be in the 220s. Looking to add to what was the lead coming into this game, and very well still could be after this 10th frame. We'll be sure to tell you what the number was and who was 32nd. On social media as well. Again, you can find all of those things on PWBA.com. Click on the homepage slider. Click for coverage and results is what you should see, of course, for the Fountain Valley Open. You can also get directly to our live page at pwba.com/live. All right, and that'll do it. 224 for Clara. And that will do it for our first day here at the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open. It looks like Sandra Luthold, of course, who was in second, showing the final shots of the 10th frame. Way down on the other end. So, been a good day, an interesting day, and could see a couple names that could make some noise tomorrow. Of course, in the cashers round, and then after the cashers round, 6 more games in the morning, and then on to match play in the top 12 round robin. The group match play broken down into groups A and B, and then on, of course, to group stepladder finals. A couple of people will already make TV, and we'll have 2 more as well. Any final thoughts from Matthew?
Not too much that you didn't already cover. It's great to be back and see the best in the business in action. Looking forward to tomorrow and watching some bowling as well. I see what you did there. That's great. I know it's different watching from home, so look forward to seeing you do your thing tomorrow as we get into the cashers round and then match play and then the group step ladder. Don't want to jinx anything, but you're right. Good smooth day, and we'll have a recap tonight, and then we'll get some rest. Do it again in about 10 hours. So,
well, there you have it.
There you have it.
All right. Well, so for Matt Canizaro, to Neil Milligan, Kathy Waka, Kathy Kavicki, and Rita Moore, PWBA staff here, and all of our compadres and everyone else out and about doing other things this weekend, whether it be at the Go Bowling 400 or the Open Championships or the Women's Championships. We say thank you. And, of course, to the staff here at Fountain Bowl for all of their hospitality and hard work. My name is Emil Williams Jr. We say so long until tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's where you will find us tomorrow. So until then, we say so long. Have a great night. It's been a presentation of the 2017 PWBA Fountain Valley Open Bowl TV on Extra Frame. Good night.